God.
with the kid and the warden. And
No, you can't call her the warden.
I'm calling her the warden.
You can't call her the warden.
She is no longer the girl. She's officially the warden. The warden has spoken. We can no longer use that name.
I thought you were going to go like maybe princess or Buttercup or something.
No, because she wanted doctor, and I'm like, I'm not gonna call you Dr. Jones.
The girl formerly known as
the warden.
girl.
Yeah,
She's
the warden.
All right, well, warden, welcome.
Welcome.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I'm D.
This is Lim.
We're Project Airwaves. As you know, if this is your first time, all of our links and descriptions are down below. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. GoFundMe.
That thing.
Amazon.
Yes, sir.
It's all there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If you want more, go to our website.
Bumblebee Tuna.
Check out our Patreon. It is Bumblebee Tuna.
Bumblebee Tuna.
That's creepy.
Remember, at the end of the day, it's just the tip, I promise.
Oh, God. I can't make dick jokes.
I know,
but you can make dick jokes?
I mean, that was the one time. That was a gift. That was a gift from the warden on my...
That was a tip.
Yeah. On my flask.
All right. So, we're going to actually try and stay on topic this time and talk about some stuff. But you know what? The last episode was really good. I liked it.
Well,
I felt it was in depth.
I heard good things about it, too.
If you haven't heard it, please feel free to check it out. If you want to, sign up to our Patreon, and you'll get first dibs on the full episode instead of having it cut into parts on YouTube. But, I mean, hey, that's up to you. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Some people like the parts, but...
Some people like the parts.
If you want the full thing up
Talk
frontal.
into your mic.
I'm sorry.
God.
I'm sorry.
There he is.
There I am.
There he's back. All right. So, what did you want to talk about today?
A little, not nostalgia, but I guess going into childhood. So, as a kid, probably into my adult years, still. Now, I guess I'll throw this out to you real quick. What do you prefer, Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Really?
Marvel.
See?
Hands down. Now, don't get me twisted. I love my boy Superman to death.
Okay, so now did you know that DC came before Marvel?
Oh,
so
that's fair.
I remember watching an episode of something. It was some kind of YouTube where someone dissected that if you look, it doesn't even have to be closely.
Yeah.
That for every character in DC, Marvel made a copy version of it. So it's the same thing.
Well, because I heard a lot of DC artists back in the day when they felt they weren't getting treated fairly by DC.
They broke off. And they're like they're identical. Like it was crazy because they showed the timestamp of like when one character came out, and then they show the timestamp of the identical one for Marvel, and it's
they
like
sue each other constantly. Like the whole Ms. Marvel thing, Captain Marvel.
But you know what's and this becomes a thing is that you get a lot of people that are like, oh, I'm pro Marvel because of movies. But Marvel and DC came out long before when it came to comic books and cartoons.
Oh, yes.
Now, me growing up as a kid, my favorite cartoon was Batman. I've always been a Batman fan because he was the one guy in the Justice League, had no powers, and everybody thought of him. And you know what's funny? That was cool. There's an episode that I watched a long time ago. And the episode, it had nothing to do with anything. When I was a kid, I was like, this is pointless. I want to see action. I want to see fighting.
Right.
But it was an episode that was just about Batman, and it was the Justice League, but it was him sitting in the Batcave, and he's just typing on his computer. And he's documenting his contingency for everyone in the Justice League.
I vaguely remember that.
How to defeat who and for what. And it broke down everybody.
Right.
And he even had a contingency for himself. And Superman, at the end of one of these episodes, comes up to him and says, you know the reason why you're the strongest person? And he goes, why is that? He goes, because the fact is that we all use our strength or our ability to take each other out. You already have contingencies ready for us. He goes, but what makes you stronger than all of us is that we all think that we're just righteous and that we will never put ourselves in jeopardy as a contingency. He goes, you have a contingency for yourself, I'm assuming. And Batman goes, yes. And he goes, Superman goes, well, what is it? He goes, the Justice League. You are the contingency to stop me.
Right.
And I'm the one that can stop all of you by myself.
I mean,
and Superman just looks at him and shrugs. He goes, you're not wrong. And it just cuts out. So to sum this up.
That's why I don't like Batman.
I love
He
Batman.
has no powers.
He doesn't need powers.
He's a detective.
He's a detective that
could have gotten Dick Tracy.
He is a detective.
Tracy,
he is a detective that can literally defeat anybody without trying.
Dick Tracy wore
so smart,
an all yellow,
so smart
outfit,
so
trench
smart.
coat, hat.
That has
and
nothing.
Suit.
That has nothing to do with anything.
Best. I don't like Batman.
Okay.
Unless now Terry McGinnis. I must concede.
So
I love me some Terry McGinnis.
And who created that?
Well, I mean DC.
Yes, but what is Terry McGinnis?
He's Batman.
So that means you like Batman.
I know. I like Terry McGinnis.
You like a specific kind of Batman.
Yes, Batman Beyond.
So that's
and
Batman.
I don't know what it was. I can't even tell you. Really,
So it's like if you think of Batman, it's no different than like how Spider-Man branches off. Spider-Man has his Spider-Verse of different suits and different styles. Yeah. Batman is the same thing. Well, unfortunately, the man, the myth, and the legend himself, the guy who voiced my childhood, Kevin Conroy, did pass a couple days ago. And it's crazy because when you hear about it, you see little clips about people talking about it. And there were so many tributes to this guy because he was such a nice person. And I listened to one of his things right before he passed because he said like a happy birthday to somebody, but in the voice of Batman. Oh, nice. You can close your eyes and still hear Batman. You visualize it. And then you look at it and you see this, shriveled up old man pretty much. So it's crazy because around that same time, the day before or 2 days before, was it Jesse McCartney? The guy who's the kid. Remember the kid that's saying "I want candy" or "I love candy"? Like he's his brother is, Nick McCartney or something. Wait, one of the Backstreet Boys or one of the NSYNC.
Not McCartney.
Is it Jesse?
It's Jesse. Is it McCartney? It's not McCartney.
Yeah,
that's one of the Beatles guys' names.
No,
Paul McCartney.
Then what was it?
Jesse Carter.
Jesse Carter. Yeah, Jesse.
It was Jesse Carter.
It was Aaron. It was Jesse Carter because it's Aaron Carter's brother. Yeah, this is how much you see that I don't care about him, but. This kid was big for whatever, for a hot second. For a minute. Like he was one of the bigger.
Probably, 2 years maybe?
No. 2 years ago?
No. Wait. Is Jesse different? Because I remember Aaron Carter.
So Aaron Carter's from NSYNC or Backstreet Boys, one of the two?
98 Degrees?
No.
Or Backstreet Boys. Yeah, it might have been Backstreet Boys. He's definitely not NSYNC.
Aaron Carter was
98 Degrees. If I'm not
mistaken. Aaron Carter was one that died.
Oh,
Whoops.
shit.
See? So Aaron Carter died.
No.
Yeah, that was the one that's saying "I want candy."
Right. He was the little kid that popped off for a minute.
Nick
He was
Carter.
pretty much Justin Bieber before Justin Bieber.
Nick Carter was from Backstreet Boys.
Yes, his brother.
Yes. So Aaron Carter died, drowned in his tub, and he was all fucked up though.
Sad face.
Nick Carter was the other one. So
Aaron, no.
You saw that happen, and then it only lasted for 24 hours. Mm-hmm. But Batman's been dead for 10 days.
No,
and it was just every day I've been seeing stuff.
Whole different feel, my dude. Like
you see the difference between a childhood nostalgia and then
it's like if you tell me now, yes, I'm an adult and I'm allowed to watch adult entertainment. That's like if you told me one of my favorite adult workers passed away versus the voice of Goliath from Gargoyles. Died.
Yeah,
there's a different feel because it's just like. You were a sex symbol. You were an icon for a minute. You kind of shined and then went away.
Right.
Whereas this person, man or woman, their voice, I can, like you said,
You can close your eyes and hear it.
And see it. And I can see you talking as that character. So, yes, when you say it like that, that's like if you told me Luke, the guy that plays Luke Skywalker died. The whole world would
and you know
what's
crazy? He was I know who that is. I don't know why I'm fucking trying to play.
I'm really bad at names.
He's also the guy who plays Luke Skywalker is also the voice of the Joker.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is crazy. That's how his name Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill.
Yeah. So Mark Hamill is.
I actually knew that before I knew about the guy you showed me that voice Batman.
Yeah. Mark Hamill was the Joker, and so there's just it just to kind of like lump all that together. It's just you grow up. And even for someone that you never physically saw as a person, their voice when you're that good in life as a person to where your voice changes people, and it doesn't even have to be like if you were to look at the guy that plays Goku, you would never be like, okay, well, who the fuck is this random guy? Right. But then when you hear him talk, you're like, oh shit,
it's Goku.
It's Goku. If I saw him in person, and I shook his hand, he'd be like, oh, because I think his name's like Sean.
I knew it once upon a time.
Let's see. Yeah, if you Sean Schmel, if you see him in person, I'd be like, okay, who the fuck is this? He introduced himself, and then you hear him talk.
He looks like a normal cat.
And he'll shake your hand. He goes, "Hi, I'm Goku." Like, oh, okay. Well, that completely.
Should I bow?
Yes,
should I bend the knee?
You go, sir. Do you need my energy? And you just put your hands up in the air. They'd be like, okay, get away from me.
You're like, I'm totally fanboy.
But I think that's cool. I think that's cool that when some people that don't even need to physically put their presence out there, that they're voice acting. That's like when D told me a while back how he wanted to get into voice acting. I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Yes.
I think that's cool that you can be. You're two different people. You can be D from Project Airwaves in a persona of yourself in picture.
Yes.
And then if someone hears you talk, they could lump you up. If they never met you, they would turn something you into somebody completely different. Yes. It just shows how you can change all that.
Well, that also goes to show the ability of the actors from those times. These people have a craft. It wasn't just, oh, I came in and I changed my voice, and now I'm talking this deep, and now I'm a whole different new character. It didn't work that way. This man had a specific way he spoke when he was Batman. He, in his mind, I'm sure, and everybody else's, because you see how Lynn's talking about it, he is Batman. Mm-hmm. So he had to, make that character himself and then voice that and then
put some power behind it.
Right, put power behind it. And it's like, that's amazing acting. We don't have that nowadays. I'm sorry. We will miss Chadwick Boseman. I don't remember anything he said in Black Panther. I don't remember half the
I saw bits and
said.
pieces of it. I didn't really care to want to see it.
Well,
but
no,
I saw,
I'm talking about the older movies, though.
No, I'm just saying for the new
Wakanda
Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
It's like, it's very... It has its points to where you can tell they tried to do it right by making him like it's like a not an honor movie. I don't know what the word is. Like a tribute movie.
Yeah, like
yeah. They wanted to give
life.
him a tribute by adding him in and his sister, taking the mantle as Black Panther. But it's not the same. When you go to see it, because I saw a lot of clips on YouTube. It's like when you go to see it, it's like, okay, when I'm watching it, this is just a bunch of fillers, and they want to try to add to it because spoiler alert, there's a part where the girl from obviously the first Black Panther that he's with, she disappears for like 6 years right after he gets Thanos does the snap, and they find her later because the sister gets kidnapped by the main villain, who is like, he's pretty much an Atlantean. He's an Atlantean where
what do they call him?
Namor, yeah.
Namor.
He's he's a tank. He's pretty much like he's like Superman.
He's Namor the Submariner.
Yeah.
He's out. He's Marvel's version of Aquaman.
Yes. But he has little wings on his feet, like what's for
weird, like
for Hercules? Hermes,
yeah,
yes. So and it's weird because you see the
weird.
clips of he flies, but he has to step off.
Tiptoes.
He has to step off the air to do it.
Yeah.
And the fights, you can see the strength difference.
I don't think he ever did that in the actual cartoon or
remember.
comic book. I know he was a water cat. Now he was. Namor, you don't fucks with Namor. You really don't fucks with Namor. He will. So
to put all that together,
Yeah,
I see what they're trying to. I see what they're trying to do. They bring this girl in that she was like one of Wakanda's like spies that could kind of infiltrate, but she's like, I don't want anything to do with it because the king's dead.
Yeah.
T'Challa's dead. I don't. I want to do that.
T'Challa.
Sorry. He goes away and she pops back in, and at the very end of the movie, the sister's like, they beat the guy. She's new Black Panther. They're sitting on the beach, and she walks up with this little kid in her hand, and she's like, "Hey, go say hi to your auntie."
Yeah, T'Challa Jr.
Yeah, and there's a junior, and now he's saying, "I'm like,
so
okay."
over that.
So they're gonna try to spike it back up.
But
I'm
now
sure.
the kid is growing up no, not even like T'Challa. Now the kid is growing up without a father, like Killmonger did. And it's like, okay, are we still?
I like that they had the spoilers in between where Killmonger actually does kind of come back.
Yeah.
Because the sister needs to get the power of the Black Panther. The suit doesn't mean anything. The suit's just kind of there. It's like Tony Stark is by himself.
Right.
I kind of like how they did this. So Tony Stark by himself is nobody. Like he has his money. He's super genius, but he has no physical powers.
Yes.
So he's nothing without the Iron Man suit. And Captain America has all the strength in the world where he doesn't need the suit.
Pretty much Batman.
The Black Panther has the strength of Captain America, but also Iron Man's technology. So that's why they make him like he's a fucking tank.
Yeah.
And that's what happens with her is that she tries to put the suit on and doesn't mean anything because she doesn't have the powers. So they're able to emulate the ceremony.
Yeah.
And when she does it, instead of seeing her ancestors like her brother and everybody else, it's Killmonger in there. And he says, "Hey, do you want to be like your brother and be kind and willing, or do you want to be like me and get shit done?" And she goes, "I'm not like my brother, so I need to get shit done." So she emblems Killmonger's style, which is kind of cool because you can tell she's about to she just starts tearing through people.
Yeah, but I saw the animation of her in the suit, and it looks like a skeleton.
She's skinny.
So
she's very, very tiny. But the style of what they bring her in to do is cool because the one thing that kills that, and like I said, it's all the little clips that I've seen. The one that kills that is that they bring this little girl, this black girl,
Williams.
Yes, as a 19-year-old that's a super genius that builds an Iron Man suit. I'm like, okay,
Ironheart.
I'm done. I didn't know anything about that. That's why I was like, okay, I don't care to see. It
failed in the comic book. It's going to fail now. But getting back to what you were saying about the memorable voices, looking back at those Black Panther movies, even before what was it, Endgame and stuff, I don't remember a lot of stuff that they said. Now, when we watch, if you want to talk about a memorable voice, if you hear Optimus Prime from Transformers, Autobots transform.
Yeah.
You know that voice.
You know the voice. I'd have to
voice.
hear them talk.
Darth Vader.
Yeah.
You know that voice.
James Earl Jones. Yeah.
You know Rip. Rest in peace, buddy. Mm-hmm. You know that voice. It.
James Earl Jones isn't dead.
No, I'm pretty sure he passed away. Didn't he?
I think you're thinking of.
You're
thinking of Michael Clark Duncan.
Am I?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're thinking Michael Clark Duncan.
James.
Yeah.
You came back, buddy. We snapped you back.
James Earl Jones isn't dead.
Come on back. But I mean, these voices are memorable. I can remember things James Earl Jones has said throughout his acting career across various characters. I can remember Mark Hamill being the Joker and the way he laughed and the way he called Batman bats.
Damn, he's 91 years old.
Shiz naive.
Still alive, still kicking.
Keep it pushing, my brother. But it's stuff like that. So, yes, when you say when Lynn said the voice of Batman died, I was like, which Batman? Because you got to be specific.
The only one. Because I don't really think there's been any cartoon.
They've tried.
There's a couple.
Yeah,
but you know that this one is so good because even when they had like the Arkham games, and any new Batman video games, it's the same voice.
Yes,
that they use him to fill in those spots.
Yes, because it's amazing. Yes. Okay, moving right along. Rest in peace, good buddy. We will miss your voice.
Rest in peace.
All right. All right.
Okay.
We're gonna have
I'm hungry.
Some Q&A.
I'm hungry. We'll go Q&A.
We're gonna do some Q&A.
Q&A.
I don't know what that's gonna do
for your favorites.
Quenching his hunger or satisfying his hunger, satiating his
I'm so hungry.
He's thirsty as well. So I'm gonna ask Lynn some questions, and he's gonna ask me some questions back, and we're just gonna give you our 10 cents. 2 cents, 10 cents, 50 cents.
Oh, I don't know.
Piece.
$1 and a quarter. How much does it cost for a hot and spicy? How much does it cost for hot and spicy?
The price has gone up.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm a fat kid.
Inflation's always been a thing.
All right, so Lynn, do you think you have daddy issues?
No.
Why do you think you don't have daddy issues?
I've always had. I never knew my father. I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this. What is your definition of daddy issue?
In a male to female perspective, I feel
Let's just stick with male for now.
Okay.
Because we don't want to get in trouble.
Right. You know what? I don't know. I feel like there isn't really a difference when it comes to having a... Okay, no, you know what? I feel like a father figure presence is important. It is important no matter what certain people say when it comes to, you can run a household with just females. Yeah. Because it does change something. I remember I dated a girl a long time ago. Remember Hope?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Her mom was very sweet. Her mom's name was, which it's weird how they all had fucking different names, but then her sister's name with it just makes no sense. I remember when I was younger being around them, and I would hang out with her. Her mom was really nice. Her sister was kind of a fucking spaz, and then her brother was cool. But her brother was always having issues with them because he's the only boy in a house full of girls.
Yes.
And there was no dad around.
Right.
They would pretty much just call the dad the sperm donor. And you could tell the mindset of how they thought men were just trash.
Yes.
And even me coming in as like the boyfriend, it was just like I could tell how they wanted to treat people differently.
Yes.
And I feel like that diversity of not having or seeing both really changes your mental of like, I don't need men around. And I'm not saying like nothing is like to like for feminism or anything like that. It's just it helps to play both because in order to have that, not to say that a mother can't independently raise a child on their own.
Yes.
There will be times when the child gets older and they need, even if it's just another parent, they need another person to go to. Because if you go talk to your mom multiple times, I'm sure you talk to Brian about stuff more than you did your own mom. And it's the same thing. I would go talk to Notch more than I would my mother, vice versa, if there was an issue. Because you need to be able to piggyback that through. When it's just that single parent mentality, if you're afraid of telling your parent something, you're going to go talk to somebody else. And it might be the wrong person.
True. Very true.
I was fortunate enough to have Notch in my life because he was willing, even though I'm not his biological kid, he was willing to take me under his wing and teach me a lot of things. And my biological dad is still in the picture. He's around, but I don't see him. I haven't seen him in years. Right. And every once in a while, he'll wish me a happy birthday or something like that, and I'll shoot him like a message like Merry Christmas. But it isn't the fact that having that primary person isn't there. I feel like the father figure role doesn't have to mean that you're biologically connected to that person.
Agreed.
I think it's the presence of what is this adult doing in this child's life.
True.
So that's my...
Ooh. Yeah. That was deep and philosophical.
He was there.
And I mean, and that's the thing. So I had to really kind of look inward on this because growing up, when we would say daddy issues, and I'm sorry, but that was normally geared towards women. They'd be like, she's got daddy issues.
But there are males that have it too.
It wasn't until I got older that I had to observe and recognize that dudes have daddy issues and or the reverse mommy issues. And it's crazy to see now that we're older that, you know, I give my mom all the props that she managed to raise 2 boys by herself and teach us how to be grown-ass men. But we also had help. While my mom was single, I also had my grandfather and my uncle and their friends.
Right, which is that
other men, you know, to kind of fill the void, if you even want to call it that, because I never woke up and was like, I miss my daddy. You know, I never had those days. It was just like, it's me, my mom, and my brother. That's it. And my grandfather taught me, you know, how to shoot a gun, and he taught me how to get into a fight, and he taught me how to deal with pain when he poured rubbing alcohol on my open wounds on my knees. He taught me how to be manly, I guess you could say. So I don't feel like I have quote unquote daddy issues, even though I grew up without my biological father. However, I see men tend to now have more daddy issues where boys nowadays, I should say, not necessarily men, but boys nowadays feel like they're a little soft. Like they're lacking that, who am I trying to think of? They're lacking that Chuck Norris. You know, it's like, you know, when we were growing up, we were in the kung fu, we were in the wrestling, we were in the guns and trucks. I remember Notch taking us to the monster truck show. Yeah, and I got to see Gravedigger and all that shit.
That was a long time ago.
Long ass time ago. I didn't think I would like monster trucks. I'm like, dude, this is some rednecky shit. No, bro, that was some of the most fun. You can't hear shit afterwards because your ears are damn near bleeding. But it was some of the most fun I've ever had.
You said your ears are bleeding?
That's what it felt like, because the trucks they're just screaming and everybody around you is screaming and the noise never stops. But it's just like seeing the dynamic, or what they would call the nuclear family, which is mom, dad, on, you know, one child or multiple. It does change the dynamic and the way things work. There's actually scientific proof and evidence that having both parents in a child's life improves their chances of success.
That is true.
That's
an actual pretty good
adulthood.
statistic.
So that's the first question. Okay, now I'm excited for the
What's the next one?
Boy.
Oh no.
What if Kratos was your father?
What if Kratos was my father?
Like, do you feel you would butt heads with him, or do you feel you would kind of look up to him and want to follow in his footsteps?
To have the God of War in your back pocket, man, that's a whole nother. That's a whole nother thing. So of course, I'm still dying to fucking play the next one. I haven't had time to even finish the first. Having somebody like that, so obviously this is what is it? Fiction?
Yeah.
Fiction, because fiction is fake. So obviously being a fictional character, hypothetical, yeah, having a fictional character, hypothetically, as somebody to push you in there. Now, is he my father? And I also have the ability to become a god, because if he's my father and he's training me like this, I wouldn't live past the first year because I don't have the durability to do what he does. If anything, you'd get killed.
If you were Atreus.
Okay, yeah. So if you had the ability, so you're practically a god in itself. Yeah. I don't even know.
Like, for who you are now, for how you like to get down, do you think you would follow?
Well, that would be a completely different standard. Like to be in this time and era right now with that kind of a person, yes, you'd be a fucking mass murderer. Yeah. You're killing everybody. There's no, because it's not like he has a job. It's not like he's like, working a 9 to 5. It's, I'm killing you people, and then I'm in my house, and then I want to go bury somebody, and I'm killing more people, and then I come home and I'm in my house again.
Why did you stab that man? Now, he said he was a god.
Yeah, now there is someone at my house trying to kill me, so I'm going to kill him. I don't really think there's any plausibility to have him in modern time, but to, I guess, humor the topic. Humor me? Yes. I think I like the aspect in this. I'll compare this to Notch, to my dad right now. Having a strong individual like that you feel like is indestructible, pretty much because of what Kratos is. That's how I do see Notch, is that I know at the end of the day that this person, he can do no wrong in my eyes, because I know he can do anything. It could be like the craziest thing that I'm thinking, fuck, I don't know how to fix this, and then all of a sudden you go to him and he makes it seem like it was nothing. Yes. And that is something to admire, to have this person to be like, well, he can do anything. So if he can, so can I. Yeah, and it gives you something to look up to. Shit. Not that individual mindset of, well, I'm going to give up because this is hard. It's, okay, I don't know what to do with this, so let me go ask him.
Right.
And if he can't do it, then nobody can do it. But every single time I go to him, I've never had him tell me I don't know. It's give me a second, let me find out.
Yes.
And then he goes and fucking does it. And that for Kratos is the same thing. It's like when Atreus is following him through things, and then he goes, oh, we can't lift this. It's too heavy. And he'll be like, hold on and wait. And all of a sudden, he just sticks his fingers into the earth and starts like. There's a part in the game which is ridiculous. I don't know how to compare what his actual strength is, but there's one in the first games you go to an area to open up another gate to a different realm, and the what is that called? It's not a chapel. Like not the tomb.
Citadel?
The Citadel, there you go. The Citadel is upside down.
Oh.
So you come in and you're walking, but the whole thing is upside down.
Nice.
And you can't figure out how to get in certain areas. So Kratos is like, all right, we're going to flip the Citadel. And Atreus is like, what are you talking about? At the bottom of the Citadel, there's two giants with chains holding it down.
Oh, I remember.
So you chop down one chain, you kill the people around it, chop down the other chain. And Atreus is like, well, the Citadel is still upside down. He goes, Father, what do we do? And he goes, give me a second. Goes in there, puts his hands into the ground, squats underneath, and just starts pushing. So you have to tap the button, and then just pushes, and the whole fucking thing flips upside down.
So epic.
So it's like me going to Walmart, sticking my fingers in the ground of Walmart and flipping it upside down. And that's when I'm just like, Jesus Christ. That's a whole different level of I can do anything that I want.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
So, yes,
I like that.
That's cool.
I didn't think he was going to come at me with these answers. This is awesome.
I got it. Oh, you're going down a list.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wrote a list.
Okay.
All right, picking up where we left off.
Okay.
Not to rudely interrupt you.
Apologies. This is my sorry for 2004. You remember that? What was that?
Sound like Usher?
It was Ruben Stutter.
Oh, I never know.
Yeah? There was the one song he did. He said, this is my sorry for 2004.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was on American Idol.
We're going to move forward. That's way too old for this crowd. So, do you, being mixed, consider yourself to be white or black?
I was told by Michael Jackson, it doesn't matter if you're black or white.
This is true. Michael Jackson also
don't you dare. Don't you ruin that. Don't.
He also has secret corridors and hidden doors in Never Never Land. So
did you ever? Sorry, I know this is off topic. Did you ever hear of the America's first serial killer? His name is H.H. Holmes.
No.
Oh man, that guy. There's documentaries about Dahmer and about Bundy and stuff like that because of the time frame, like the era.
Yeah.
Like obviously more media was
television and
so
stuff.
there is a guy, and like I said, obviously I'm going off the topic with this, but there is a serial killer by the name of H.H. Holmes. He had a mansion. I'm talking like a huge, like it was a hotel, and this hotel was a facade for guests to come and check in and stuff like that and come stay. And in this thing, when they were going through the hotel, they were having, I don't know how.
We're just taking a short break for my 6-year-old who decided he wanted to grab a cup of water.
I like how he walks in. You could shh, and he goes.
No, he will. He will look me dead in the eye and just the middle finger of mental middle fingers.
It's all right.
All right, you done, Skip? You take it in the room. All right. Thank you. Everybody says hi.
Your conversation was nothing to me. I like how he does it and then just stands and just gives you eye contact. Nobody tells me what to do.
Mortals.
Yeah, so to hit back on the topic for it.
Yeah.
H.H. Holmes had a hotel, and this dude, and this is an actual person. This was America's first serial killer. He had to have killed close to 100 people.
That's disgusting.
A lot. So what he did, it just gave me the idea of what you were saying about what was it? Who about trap doors and all that stuff?
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson, right? Yes. So he had a hotel where people would come and check in, and they'd go, stay, and there was a front desk clerk and everything. In each room, he had designed trap doors down to a dungeon where he would torture people. And it was weird. It was crazy kind of torture, like drilling holes in their head, lobotomies, like boiling them in acid kind of stuff. And it's crazy because when you see, there was a documentary on Netflix, I think, it shows the map out of how this thing looks. And it's crazy that he had like little trap, like you would walk past a picture and all of a sudden the picture would have a pair of eyes that would follow you, like the old Scooby-Doo shit.
Yeah.
And he was an actual thing. They didn't catch him until he had already killed like over 100 people.
That's
so to say that it isn't a thing, it's an actual thing. That's pretty intense.
Thanks. Getting back to
I'm
the
educating
question. getting back.
You brought it in. I'm gonna get you with the weird stuff.
Oh, so do
Yeah.
and now that you're an adult and
Yeah.
you've lived some life, do you consider yourself
the maple kind? Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The maple kind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Asshole.
Now that I consider myself the adult, what?
Do you consider yourself more leaning towards white or black as far as your racial?
Neither. I could give two shits about race.
Ooh, so you're neutral.
I don't care.
You see no color.
No, because
He
I'm
is
colorblind.
colorblind.
I'm colorblind. Anytime
I literally can't see you.
I've had altercations at work where I would, you're an officer and you're going to get people. The one thing that would irritate me, and it's not even a profile, but you get a lot of black people that try to use that card saying because I'm black, you're profiling me. And they would commit a crime. It'd be like, I just beat the shit out of somebody in front of you,
Right.
or I stole something in front of you, and then, okay, you're profiling me because I'm black. And I've snapped back. Like,
yes.
okay, well, can't do that because I'm half of that. But I told them straight up, because there'd be people that would come to me and say, oh, you're doing this because I'm black. And I was like, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care enough about you
right.
to profile you.
Right.
You mean nothing to me. You are nobody. And you go, they'll be like, oh, well, that's dark. Now you're just, it was like, well, you can't, the one thing you can call me an asshole and say that I'm heartless. The last thing you can call me is that I'm racist, because I would fuck up anybody regardless of what their race is. So when you do the whole thing, I would get so irritated. I'm like, okay, so I'm half of that, so I'm not racist. Like, well, black people can be racist too. I was like, okay, so you're being racist, because now
Right.
you're profiling me. And it becomes a back and forth of, well, because of this. And one guy tried to convince me, I remember we were trying to escort him and a couple BFAs, black female adults, out of House of Blues. And they were arguing and bickering and fighting and shit. And this guy walks up to me and he said, he used the term, he's like, you a nigga, I can tell because of your beard, your nose and stuff like that. And I was like, well, I'm half. He goes, why are you embracing that other side, that demon side? He goes, white people have enslaved and blah, blah, blah. And I'm walking with him. I was like, I'm not embracing anything. I'm telling you, I do not care.
Right.
And he goes, well, you should care, because you should be siding with people like us. I was like, why would I side with you? I don't even know you.
Fucking animals.
You mean that? Yeah. And I told him, and I become off very cold. This is like, you literally mean nothing to me.
Literally.
You could go outside and get mowed down by a car, and I would shrug it off and walk back in.
Yes.
And it has nothing to do with what your nationality is.
Right.
So to think that you can compare with me because of half of my side
Right.
isn't going to change anything. The reason why I'm kicking you out is, and I say it, back then I was a little more hot-headed. I was like, because you're a fucking scumbag.
Yeah.
You decided you wanted to get a free meal.
Right.
And that's all it was. They were in
Right.
House of Blues. They made a fucking mess with all their food. The girls were arguing amongst one another, and then they decided they just didn't want to pay the host.
Yeah.
The server. And the server's like, well, is there anything wrong with the food? They're like, no, we just don't want to eat. We don't want to pay. And we're like, okay, well, then you have to leave. You're defrauding an innkeeper.
Right.
Well, it's because we're black, you're making us pay. Like, you're committing a crime, and you're saying, yes, that's what irritated me. So when we started getting them out, and they're like, they didn't want to press charges, but they were going to deal with something else. Like,
Of
okay,
course.
we're still trespassing you. We don't need to take you back and put your restraints. If House of Blues had pressed charges, we would have got them, because you're defrauding an innkeeper, meaning
Right.
you're splitting on a bill. Dine and dash, pretty much. But they wanted to use race to get out of getting a really large free meal and make this poor server, this little, it was like a Hispanic girl, like
Right.
a white girl, saying like, you're racist. And they're like,
Right.
well, I'm not. I hated that when people would use race to give a way to cheat the system.
Yes.
And yes, I'm not saying that there isn't any kind of racial things, where there are a lot of
There
black
are,
people
yeah.
that
But no,
do
we've seen it.
get discriminated and treated
Yes,
like shit
but
because of
we've
the national.
seen people abuse
Yes.
that card.
It's a double-edged sword. So to blend in the middle of, do I feel like I'm one or the other? I don't give a fuck about both. I'm going to treat you as who you are as a person. If you're a good person, I'm going to treat you as a good person. If you're a piece of shit, I'm going to treat you like a piece of shit.
Right.
It's not that black and white.
Yes.
At the end
Yes,
of the day.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I like it. He's on fire.
No.
All right, we're almost done. How far would you go to protect your child? And I'm going to put this in a scenario of what the shit we've been dealing with lately. Public shooters, active shooters, school shooting.
Yeah.
How far would you go? What would you do?
To come off like with me now, and this is something that has always been important to me. I've always been I'm big with kids. I've always been like that. I want to give kids the utmost amount of ability to go back into the whole co-parenting or
Yes.
step parent and stuff like that. But even kids that aren't my kids, and then not to make it like in a creepy manner, but it's like my the warden's the warden's
offspring.
the warden's sister has she has a few kids, and they all know me. Every time I come there, they always say, oh, hi, and everything like that. But there's this sweet little girl that, I have her as my Avelia. I'm hoping I'm not butchering the name, but I love how innocent kids can be,
Yes.
and that they're so pure that I don't know, and this is just my mentality of like teaching, is like even when I'm teaching at my job, new students, when somebody learns something new from me, it makes me feel important because I go, okay, that's a little piece of me that's going to this person,
Right.
and they're using it to better themselves.
Right.
And with kids, it's the same thing. I love the aspect of helping people grow to be better. And if you can do that when they're young, you can I feel like with what I do, I try to put people in the world to make the world better.
Yes.
So at the end, when I do die, I did something.
You left
good.
behind a legacy.
I left behind a legacy, and when it comes to a child, being my own or not, Genesis today got her belt. She belted up in jiu-jitsu, which is fucking phenomenal.
Congratulations.
It's such a cool aspect to see, someone that's not even my biological kid.
Right.
Follow in the same path that I did.
That little girl is beastly.
And I was showing D these videos, man, and it was phenomenal.
What move did you tell her to do?
An Americana. Yeah.
This dude, you just see the video and you hear him go, Americana. This girl snapped. She became Black Widow for that split second. I saw the move like in Iron Man, the first Iron, where she whips around the dude's neck and puts him in an armbar.
Yeah.
That's what this little girl did.
She is.
Minus the black suit.
Yes, it impresses me how adaptable kids can be, and that also puts in the mindset of you put so much energy into nurturing them to grow.
Yes.
If something happens, it's not just a direct attack towards that kid. It affects you as a person. And for me, it's like, I mean, sounds fucking serial killer style, more or less. But if anything were to happen to her, or any youth of mine, I have no hesitation to kill somebody.
Yes.
It wouldn't even take me that long.
Yes.
And this is the downside about it is like I'm not just attacking you, because I know, and you know what, I know how the system works now.
Yes.
I know how you have to drag them through court, and you have to fucking do this, and then at some time they might get life, or they might get. It takes too long.
Not waiting for that.
I go vigilante. It comes to the point where it's like I'm making sure that what you did. Active shooter. You can't do again. You can't do again, and you're not going to get out of here from doing that. I will storm whatever area it is, and that's why I'm such an advocate. Like I have the protector mentality.
Yes.
I am such an advocate for. I was talking a day or two ago. I was asked, why do you go to the gym? And because I was exhausted, I was tired, but I was like, fuck, I still have to train.
Yeah.
My job does take a big portion of it, but it's my ability. I don't really care too much about how I look.
Yeah.
Muscle and physique, it comes with that over time. But I'm not there to fucking impress anybody. A lot of people who do either find me attractive or want something to do with me is because, from what I've been told, it's because of how I carry myself.
Yes.
I carry myself in the mentality to know that no matter what it is that's in front of me, be it a person or any kind of thing, I can fuck that shit up.
Yes.
Without any hesitation.
You move with purpose.
Yes, I have a purpose to know that if someone were to come in and a threat were to come in the room, I could probably disable it. Probably. And now it's not 100%. It's not always going to be a thing, but I know I can do. I know I can do more than these parents sitting behind on social media recording or calling the fucking police. I'm not waiting for you to do that. I will get in there. I will find a way to get in, and I will stop this person by any means necessary. I will die trying. And a lot of people say they'll do it, but then when it comes to it actually happening, they cower.
Yes.
And for me, it's like anytime I test myself mentally. I know that when I'm about to go into class, every Thursday I show D when we're doing our little fight scenarios. Yes. Everybody jokingly, all my officers have named me Sifu, just like because I've trained so many fucking people, and everybody on my team I've trained. And I've shown D like the picture of one of my guys, Jordan. He's a huge Samoan guy, and I've grappled with him and taken him down. So for people to see. I try to get people to come and kind of fight around with me, and I want to test myself. I want to know that even if I'm injured, I can still put a fight.
Yes. I can handle you. Right.
Yes. And because you can go to the gym and then you're like, all right, I touched 315 one time, for 5 to 6 reps. A year from now, if I tell you to do the same thing, you haven't worked out, it ain't going to feel the same.
Right.
So I do it once. I don't go all the time because I try not to get hurt.
Of course.
But once every 3 classes, I'll be a part of the fight scenarios. This week I was a part of this one, and we had a large class, and it was 3 of us versus 30 students, and they all tried to attack me, do stuff, and I started implementing what I know to try and go through, and still smoked every single one of them, put them down to where nobody really gave me much of a challenge. And I like to be able to know that I can do that to where if something does happen,
right,
on the drop of a hat I can take care of it.
Yes.
And that is the same thing for when it comes to her, to Jen, and anybody in my life, that if I need to handle that situation. If it's her life over yours, I'm killing you.
Yes.
100 times over. I will resurrect you and then kill you again.
Big facts.
Yeah, it's not going to stop anything.
Well, and I brought that up because, I think a lot of people, they are afraid to think about these things or afraid to consider what they would do if the moment came. And more times than not, especially nowadays, the moment it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of us are too reactive instead of proactive. We wait for shit to happen, and then it's like, oh, well, now I should do something about it, as opposed to I should have prepared or at least done something, even if it's nothing but a mental preparation beforehand. Just like Lynn said. So anytime I go somewhere, I scope out the exits. I scope out the entry points. I scope out if there's a veranda, if there's a balcony, if there's, beams hanging overhead that somebody could. Is it going to happen? It's a 1 in a million billion trillion chance.
Your sense of awareness is very on point.
I see that.
Yes.
My first instinct is get the fuck out. I'm not, hey guys, you gotta, and somebody. No, I'm grabbing me and mine, and we're fucking out of there.
Right.
It's just not happening. I don't know if you heard about the Halloween incident. It was overseas. It wasn't in Japan. Oh, I forgot where it was.
What, is just recent?
Yeah, this was recent. It was a Halloween incident where people were so happy to just be free of COVID, all the restrictions, that everybody and their mom flooded the streets for Halloween just to go out. And apparently the streets and alleys were so flooded, something happened, and it pretty much triggered a fucking Lion King Mufasa stampede.
You know what? That does sound familiar. People died and
they were crushed and everything like that.
It was here in the States, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't.
Damn, that's gonna bother me because now I know.
I know. I see. Okay, so here, let's do it.
I think it's saying Korea.
That's what it was. It was in Korea.
Yeah, it's saying South Korea. Oh, damn, 151 people were killed.
Yes, and they were pretty much trampled.
At least 151 people were. Holy shit, that's a lot of people. 151 people killed as Halloween crowd surges turns to deadly in South Korea.
So shit like that. Yeah, there's no way I would have took.
I can believe it though, especially when it comes to South Korea. It's just.
But there's no way I would have my family in that. There's no way on God's earth. As soon as first of all, I'm an introvert. Second of all, I don't like people in my space. So when I'm shoulder to shoulder with people and I can't breathe, my girl is like 5'2",
right,
5'3" on a good day, and my boy is 6. There is no way on earth they would have been able to navigate through that crowd. You know what I mean?
Yes and no, because I've worked a lot of concerts and events where I've seen this many people in one plot. Because when you look at it right now, for me, my eyes, I've seen this before. I've seen this before in venues.
We've seen it.
I've learned to control situations to make it to where nothing is going to happen to me. But not to go against what you're saying, to be in the introvert mentality of never wanting to do anything because you don't want to put yourself around people, that's like saying you want to be on a planet with no population.
No,
if you're
not what I was
if you're locking yourself into not being in public areas, you may lose the enjoyment of actually experiencing things in life. So it's like when I took the warden to go to one of her first concerts, the more thing I was concerned about was, okay, let's and it was House of Blues. House of Blues is not huge, but it still gets pretty packed. And it was
2 stories now.
It's always been. It's been an upstairs downstairs.
Okay.
But it fits. It's not like T-Mobile. T-Mobile fits like close to 65,000 people. Oof. When we went to go see System of the Down, that was rough. But because literally, if the crowd moves, you move. It sways you. I didn't want to put her to that one. So the first one we saw and it was a fantastic concert. It was Wage War, Barry Tooth, a bunch of people. And it was big enough, sold out to where there was probably 30,000 people. Not even 30,000. I'm thinking like maybe 10 to 15,000.
That's still a lot.
It's still a lot, right? So my mentality was, and it was the same thing for her. It's like anxiety's going to kick in. She's going to freak out because we're going to be smashed. I'm mentally strong enough to control to know that I've been in this chaos, and I'm like, okay, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen that I can't navigate my way through. So I told her, I was like, look, I want you to get full exposure to this. I'm pushing us to the front of the stage. And I know how to maneuver from security.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just moving around, and we're moving until I know we can't go anywhere else. Put it right in front of me. I was like, you tap me or look up at me and let me know because it's so loud. If it gets too much,
you let me know.
I'll pull this out. She didn't tap once. She saw the whole thing, and she told me going forward for every concert we go to, she wants me in the front.
Right.
Because it opened her mind. But prior to this, she was like how Dee mentioned, I'm an introvert. I don't want to be around a bunch of people. I'm not going to do it. Those life experiences come with sacrifices.
They do. Well, and that's kind of what security did to me. I've always been kind of an introvert, but I'm more willing to be outgoing if the situation, calls for it. When I was doing security and I got into, I would say this was a 30-man fight where it just randomly broke out between Hispanics and African Americans, and it was a bloodbath. When we were in that crowd, when shit was going down, it, like you said, it kind of gave me that awareness. I was fine because I'm like, I can handle myself. Even if I get knocked down, I know I can get back up. I'll scoop some people out, and I'm going to be on top of you, just ground and pound at worst. That kind of put me in a different state by myself. But then my ex.
Remember, your super ex. Oh,
yeah. Remember when we went, were you there with us when we went to that rock concert. I always forget
Warped
the
Tour?
Warped Tour.
I didn't go to Warped Tour.
Yeah,
No.
you didn't go with us. She got swept up in a mosh pit, and I couldn't get to her because of how the pit was moving and where she was. She was almost like dead center in the pit. So she crawled out of the pit. Thankfully, she kind of figured her way out. But that messed me up a little bit.
Yes, and I understand it. I understand the aspect of you know, it pulls you in to have to. You're putting yourself under, you know what your CNS is, your central nervous system. So when you go to squat or deadlift or bench, you know, everything, you have to. It's not that the weight is heavy; it's your body has to get exposed to being put under pressure.
Yes,
and I feel like that is healthy for people because if you put yourself in that situation to know that it happened, you start to plan ways. It was in a controlled enough environment to where you know you can handle it.
Right.
And I want that exposure for, you know, my loved ones because like, you know, having the kid in jiu-jitsu, I want to know that if she's exposed to serious situations, that when something actually happens, it's, well, this is nothing. And there had been a well, we'd gone to see, what the fuck was it called? Memphis Mayfire, and it was at the Hard Rock. It's not the Hard Rock anymore. Is it the Hard Rock?
I haven't been over
It's
there
the hotel,
so
hotel way the fuck down there. It's not the Hard Rock anymore. What they turned it to? It's the Virgin, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, so it used to be the Hard Rock Hotel, and I think it's called the Virgin now. And that venue was tiny. I'm talking like maybe if they put your house together twice. Like the stage is just right there.
This is a tiny house.
The minute you walk in, the stage is right there.
That's
and
crazy.
you have you have a little corner right there where everybody's moving around. The roof's elevated and looked nice. And then you cut over here, and then there's a side exit door. That's it. There's a back bar, and that's everything. So it was fun because you don't have to fight through. Yeah. There wasn't a bad seat in the house.
You were kind of already there.
General admission was just standing. You're already right there watching it. And I remember we're at the concert. We're up on the railing. You can physically, and I'll show you one of the video afterwards. You can physically touch the artist, which is cool. So you're experiencing everything, but it's so loud that my camera couldn't even pick up the volume of it. Yeah. And behind you, there's a mosh pit. They're doing their own shit. These people in mosh pits in these events, they're not there to hurt you.
No.
They're doing their own thing. And there's people that fall in the mosh pit.
They don't notice.
They do. Because people fall in these mosh pits and they pick them up. Yeah, I've never seen anybody get trampled in a mosh pit. I've seen people get trampled in a panic.
Yes.
And so what happened is there's this guy, he looked like Benjamin Franklin. Old, which is, it was a heavy metal, like a screamo band, and he's got like old hair and everything like that with shorts and a shirt, and he's just dancing and doing around and you know, doing his mosh pit thing. And I kept feeling, you know, people bumping into me, which is fine. I was like, okay, as long as she's in front of me and we're watching it, no big deal. But then I saw him come in between us and try to move her into the mosh pit.
No.
And I swept him so quick.
Right.
Like, grabbed the head, grabbed the arm, push, pull, and kicked. And this dude fucking flipped into the center of the mosh pit. So where the mosh pit stopped. Dead center, the music's still going, and they picked him up, and he looked at me and just did one of these and then walked away.
Yes.
And it literally slowed the mosh pit down to get the fuck away from me. The fact is that I had enough power as one person.
Yes.
To navigate pretty much a hurricane.
Yeah. A flesh.
Had I not exposed myself prior to, and I was in that situation, it could have been worse.
Yes.
So the exposure helped me grow as a person to handle
that's the difference between how the situations we decide to put ourselves in. Unfortunately for me, I've had kind of the negative side of things when it comes to, because me and Lynn are protectors. It's just what we do. We protect really hard, especially, like Lynn said, our loved ones. And unfortunately, I've been in situations where either I wasn't there, because for some reason shit always pops off when I'm not around, or I was told to not be a part of the situation, and that kind of, you know, it changes the way you see things. But at the same time, I say the benefit that we both took from it was we're very reactive. We're quick we're not impulsive. We take a moment, we think things through, and then we act on it instead of waiting for somebody else to tell us what to do, instead of standing around like a deer in headlights. And that's why I said I wanted to bring this question up for this particular topic, was just because we've been seeing a lot of active shooters and unfortunately a lot of kidnappings, domestic violence, things like that. And, you know, very few times do you hear people being kind of, like Lynn said, kind of approaching the shooter. Most people are running away. They're trying to flee. You know, it's kind of that fight or flight, and everybody's flying away. But, you know, you got to be the one to, you know, you have a sidearm. You have, you know, that plan of protection where you have to charge in and be the protector. You have to be that person. And I really hope, you know, we're kind of changing our mentality as these these travesties happen to where it makes us harder. You know?
Yes, you. I don't want to have to expose everybody to the dark side of Vegas and how you have to be in security in order to fucking see this shit.
Right.
But a healthy exposure to trauma, it definitely helps grow you as a character, because right now we have a lot of digital keyboard warriors where they're going to talk a lot of shit and do a lot of things and cause harm, but then when you expose them in person, they're like,
they won't do shit.
Fuck, they won't do anything. And I've had a lot of people do that, where they'll talk a lot of shit, and then when I call them out, they're like, well, I was just kidding. I was like, you weren't, because you were saying some shit that would really hurt somebody mentally.
Right.
The mental and physical aspect of, okay, I know that I can talk to you.
Right.
I've had this before, just to kind of sum this up. I've had my verbal defense of influence of my words to be able to control situations become better, because I became more patient with conversation. I don't come in hot-headed anymore, because I don't actively train as much as I used to. But I know it's like, okay, if you threaten to attack me, I know you can't do anything. And one of the things I heard from one of the black belts, not my favorite person, but he made a comment saying when he was training the kid, that when he grabbed her, he goes, the power of jiu-jitsu is that I'm taking away your freedom to do with what you want with your body. So no matter how much you kick and scream and tell me, you physically cannot do anything to stop me from doing it.
True.
And when that becomes a thing, when I know that when I get my hands on you, there's physically nothing you can do.
Right.
The words that you say to me don't really hurt me.
They don't matter anymore.
So when you start talking shit, and I go, you realize that when we get to this point, it's not going to work for you.
Right.
So I don't want to waste my energy. So let's figure something else out. Before, I used to be like, I'm going to fuck you up, and we're going to go. And then I'd fuck them up and be like, this wasn't worth the work. It didn't fix anything. I ended up hurting this person. I got a little beat up, and now I'm like, well, this doesn't give me anything. Right. It's like pissing out a fire that I started.
Yeah.
So I slowly became more aware of, all right, how can I talk my way through this?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, you try to be a negotiator, and then you figure out when you have to go hands-on. So I just, like I said, I want to bring the awareness out. I want us to start thinking more proactively. I want us to start also be willing to protect each other. If you see somebody getting hounded on, bullied on, or whatever, if you think a situation may be arising and you can, without putting your own self in any danger, if you think you can intervene without causing any harm and actually de-escalate the situation, do that. Be proactive. You don't know, if you're helping somebody, if you're stepping in the way of a potential crime or something like that, you might be saving a life. I agree. You really never know.
I agree.
All right, and that's all I got. Lynn, you got anything else?
No, sir. I'm done.
All righty then. I'm D.
This is Lynn.
As you know, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. All of our links in the description down below. GoFundMe, Patreon, my book on Amazon, our Teespring shop, and everything else. We're Project Airwaves. Keep your head in the clouds.
And keep your feet on the ground, always moving forward.
We will catch you in the next episode. You did real good.
So good.
So long.